Okay.
Hey
Gotta play
friends,
the intro.
welcome to
I'm
the
gonna play
AI
the intro.
Academics Podcast. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Leonard Nacke. This is the show where my co-host, Vuga Ibrahimov, and I geek out about the latest AI developments without getting too scientific. We want to be your spot for AI insights that actually matter. So grab a coffee, tune in, and let's chat about why AI isn't the job-stealing monster that everyone thinks it is.
Boom! And always cuts off that is at the end right there. But
Hey friends, welcome to the
always
AI
trying.
Academics Podcast. I'm
Okay,
your
hold
host,
on.
Professor Dr. Leonard
Just
Nacke.
give me a
This
hot
is the show
second,
where my
because
co-host,
now I
Vuga
have
Ibrahimov, and
myself
I
in my
geek out
ear.
about the latest AI developments without getting too scientific. We want to be your spot.
Okay. This is okay.
Yeah.
This is like twice. I started it twice.
Next time we don't play, Leonard.
Let's not play around with too many buttons. I have too many buttons at the thing, and so I'm just like, okay, let's do this intro twice because I skipped that last word. That's just never a good idea. Oh my god, like we could have just.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Vugra? Thanks.
I am really fine.
for-
Whenever I chat with you about this stuff, I also learn a lot from you, and we learn a lot by discussing. So I'm really looking forward to our today's discussion. How are you doing? What have you been cooking?
Cooking, yeah, we've been cooking. Actually, yeah, let's hit that right now. I gotta play with my buttons again here, but so some people might have heard, if they read my newsletter today, that I'll be giving a talk for Litmaps. So Litmaps is also, as part of that promotion, offering a 30% off deal with Leonard 30. So we're gonna run that in the bottom there if you click on that link, or if you find that link. But yeah, essentially I will be speaking at their event. So they have this little event that they're putting up for doing research. It's a completely free event, so everyone interested, I should find the link. If you go to my website, leonardnacke.com, if you go to the recent blog post, you'll find the link. Otherwise, I'll have to unearth it, where I talk about how I mastered literature reviews. But the conference is essentially called the Future Ready Scholar Conference. Okay, I found the link here. Future Ready
I was
Conference.
one of your readers for sure, Leonard.
Yeah.
And what is Litmaps? Maybe a couple of words about Litmaps.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of words about it. It's a tool that lets you visualize research connections. And it's not the only tool out there. I mean, today's episode is not sponsored by them, so we can freely talk about competitors. It's all good. But I'm still going to pop that in there if you want to try it. But yeah, so there's Research Rabbit, there's Litmaps, and there's Insightful. Like, these are the three big tools if you want to look at sort of the relationships, the networks that you can have between different scientific literature. And so it's a nice tool to put in a seed paper. You do some research, you get a seed paper, as in like a paper that has probably received a lot of citations. It has shown some impact in the literature. And then you put that paper with the DOI in there, and then it will create a citation graph, right? So one of the things I talked about in today's newsletter, which, let me click on another link here. Do I have it anywhere available? That's always good.
Someone already likes your discount code.
Oh, great.
Tracy,
Okay, so here's the link. Whoops, here's the link to my newsletter on Substack. I have another link here, but this is the one I just had saved. So yeah, you can scan that QR code if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about. So every Tuesday I send a newsletter, and today's newsletter was all about the looking into the different strategies for creating a literature review tool. And so this is one of the things that we did. We looked into ways that make literature reviews better. And yeah, Litmaps is one of the tools that allows us to do that. So is Insightful, so is Research Rabbit. A lot of people like Research Rabbit because it's free. I find, like, in Research Rabbit, you just click on the things really quickly. You go from an overview, a paper, to a next paper, then you click on another paper and just kind of proliferates the screen. You get your little citation network, which is kind of cool. Insightful has a nice plugin that you can run directly in Zotero, which is also kind of cool. Again, you can actually, I think you can save the page once you have like a seed paper page, and you can give that to some people. Really, really nice way of dealing with that. But yeah, so all of these tools kind of allow you to do some forward and backward citation chaining, or snowballing is another way that we call that. So we snowball forward. What does snowball forward mean? It means we're looking at all of the papers that cite the paper that is currently being read. Citing or snowballing backwards is just looking at the reference list and seeing what papers have been cited by that paper. So the paper itself becomes sort of an angular point that goes forward and goes backward forward. is the cited by feature. You can also see that on Google Scholar if you use Scopus or any other academic reference engine. You can go there, search for the paper, and you get this little cited by button, and that shows you what other papers are citing that paper, which is kind of neat. And then, of course, every scholar knows every paper has a reference list, so we can always go back to that reference list, and we can see some of the references that are already there. And yeah, let's pop in. Thanks so much, by the way, for everyone that's tuning in. So thanks, Tracy, for the discount shout out. And then we got Peter here. Hey, Peter, who is ready to do some Tuesday magic learning. So hopefully we'll deliver with all of that stuff. And yes, I guess since people have asked, let's just put that back in there. For people interested in that code, we'll just run it in the bottom screen here. But yeah, so that was the whole idea, and just kind of looking at how can we do this, these different citation chains, backward, forwards, that we can actually get some more information about that. And like I said, that little link is on the top right there. If you want to read that article, put a lot of time and effort, probably a little too much time and effort into that to be giving it out for free. That's how I feel about most of my newsletter issues. But
I can confirm that. I can, for sure.
It's a pretty good guide. If you ever wanted to know how to do literature review, read my recent newsletter post on that. Anyways, yeah, but we did want to talk today a little bit about how things are happening with ChatGPT and deep research. A lot of people have proclaimed the end of the literature review or proclaimed the end of research because the $200 paying subscribers, of which I am currently a sucker because I'm trying that out, get access to this deep research feature together with, of course, the capabilities of O3 Mini. And we've showed some of that in the last session as well. But today I actually want to show some other alternatives that are out there for this feature as well. But before we go into that, if you're really into this kind of stuff and you want to know more, again, check out this or Google this conference called Litmap's Future Ready Scholar Conference, where I'll be giving a talk about who is even a researcher in this post-AI world. So I'm actually quite excited to be given a little talk there about that stuff. And the real question really is, can we still call ourselves researchers if we farm off so much of our research to AI? And what does that actually do to this kind of stuff? So let's see if I can hit a quick screen share. Just give me 1 second here to find the right window. ChatGPT, here we go. And share that. Oh, are you still here?
Yeah, I see you.
I lost my window. No, it's gone. I can't see my own window anymore. And you're back. Okay. Woo, there we go. All right. So actually, this is probably a great time to pop into that conference link as well. So yeah, this is the conference that I was talking about. If anyone's still interested, Litmap's Future Ready Scholar Conference. So this is a conference where you can also see some other speakers that do a lot of stuff out there on this, and you can just go to that conference. It's on Luma, whatever that. It's like a link to all of that stuff. But we can provide a post to that.
I will drop the link to this.
Yeah, maybe you can just drop it in the
description.
comments. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks. Okay, but yeah, let's talk about ChatGPT a little bit and one of the newest features here. Again, as you know, if you do the paid version, you get O1 Pro mode, which is for some reason I always read this as a beast at reasoning, but it's actually best at reasoning. So it's like, okay, what am I even doing there? But yeah, it's best at reasoning, which is essentially what that is.
Can you also put us back on the screen? Is it possible?
Yeah, like how did we disappear? Hold on.
Last time you did that.
Last time I had it, and this time I don't. Let's see. Okay, now this is me and you. That is not quite what we want. Oh, hold on. Should have saved this as a little thing. Technical difficulties, friends. We'll be right back. So here is the shift in the screens. Here's the three of us. This is pretty good. Let's just keep it like that. You can still see it. Yeah. All right. So So here you can see the screen. You can see that we have ChatGPT open. And so one of the things that you can do is, of course, again, here was the joke with the pro mode. So you could put it in pro mode if you're paying for that. And then you can just select deep research. Then, of course, you're not able to, I don't think you can attach any files. Maybe you can, but you can't do the web search here. And then you can go hog on a research question. And so hold on, I had a nice. Let me just open this up real quick because I did something for Consensus recently. Oh no, consensus.app. So this Consensus, in case you're wondering, Consensus is another one of those tools I really like. Just lets you do a quick lit search. If you're interested in that, actually, this is a good time to pop that up on our screen. Also, yeah, feel free to ask us any questions in the chat at any point in time. We're happy to answer those as we go through all of this, and we'd love to hear from you. Okay, but what I actually wanted to say is we've got this AI Tools webinar, which I'm going to run at the bottom of the screen there. So if you're interested in learning more about Consensus or some of these tools, you can always check out our webinar. And just because it's better that way, I'm just going to pop in a new QR code that you can scan on the top right there. It also gives you access to that webinar in case you want to learn more. Anyways, so back to that, I basically ran a little research here. Can caffeine and theanine improve attention? Which it can. So if we kind of weighted on this in Consensus, we get this nice little consensus meter that I really like, and it does these little like recency methods, journal citations, gives you like all that stuff. I don't want to talk about Consensus all the time in today's tutorial because if you want to know more, again, check out our AI Research Tools webinar. But I wanted to just steal the research question, and I wanted to put that into ChatGPT Deep Research. So we're putting that in there, caffeine, and actually L-theanine. All the biology majors are on to me right now. And so just looking at, can these two improve attention? I want you to do deep research, and I want you to go pro mode so that, this can run in the background probably for the next 10 minutes because it takes a long time to do that kind of reasoning. But as we said last time, what happens when you activate deep research in ChatGPT is it usually gives you a counter question or gives you some clarifying questions and things like that. And so here it's like, are you looking for a general overview of research on caffeine and its effects on attention? Or are you interested in specific studies? And would you like information on potential side effects or comparisons? All of the above. Do your best. I'm going to just be like, okay, work for your money, little robot. And and that's what's going to happen. Okay, so now, and we talked about that in the last episode already. So now it will do this weird thing that, remember when we talked about AI Studio? I think that was 2 episodes ago that we talked about Google's AI Studio, how it always does that confirmatory. Oh, so this is what you want me to do, and then you just have to confirm it. So deep research isn't quite like that, but it gives you a little of, this is what I'm going to do. So it kind of presents a research plan, just like the deep research in Gemini gives you that research plan, which, by the way, you can access for free. So this is another thing that's happening right now. And I do want to chat a little bit about that while we wait for that research to happen. And you can see it pops out. And actually, this is interesting because I think 2 episodes ago, we were talking about this whole black box thing about how deep research or DeepSeek, when you use DeepSeek, it gives you like all of this breakdown of what it was doing. I was like, hey, this is really kind of cool because it's not black box. And weirdly enough, a week later, the same functionality is in OpenAI's deep research. So it actually gives you a little breakout down of what it's doing. And I like that a lot because it's less of a black box, but it's just like, you got your research assistant on the phone and they're kind of phoning back to you and saying, look, this is what I'm doing. And you just, it's great.
I already see some reliable and notorious links there, like
PubMed, OUP. So it's actually pulling academic sources, which is, just wait for the results. You'll be like, what? How is this even happening? So it is a little bit crazy when it comes to the results because it is actually really accurate. Okay, but I wanted 2 things before we talk about how we're all out of a job very soon. 2 things I wanted to show you as well. So there are these 2 repositories as well, where people have actually taken the deep research concept and implemented that. So this is from, what's his name? David Zhang. Yeah, so he has actually built a little, so this is under MIT license, so you can use it freely. He's built a little research assistant that does deep research on any topic by using search engines and scraping and large language models. He's got a little breakdown here of how it all works, which is kind of nice. Doing all the queries, results, gets you a markdown report at the end of it. But you need to be a little bit more tech savvy to install it. So you'd have to either have Node.js on your server, or you'd have to run it in Docker. And so you got to clone the repository, get it all working in Docker. We're not going to go through this; it's going to take too much time. But one of the things that you could do is, if you wanted to really tinker with a deep research setup and not pay the $200 to our feudalist overlords from OpenAI, I'm looking at you there, then maybe this is a better way to go about this. So, you got how it works, and you got the license and all that stuff. And if you're into Python, this guy, what's his name? Let's click on that. Does he have a real name? Doesn't show up. But yeah, he cloned it into Python. So if you're the Python type of person and you want to just run it directly from Python, I like how it even says like save $200 a month and just use this tool. And then you can just use it in Python if you're the kind of researcher that does Python. It's a little bit easier to install in Python and run in Python than having to go through Docker. Actually, Docker is not that hard to install, but it's a little bit of a heavy setup to go through these. This is probably worth making a YouTube video about Vugar if you're looking for ideas for your next video. This could be a good tutorial. I'm thinking about doing a tutorial about that, but it's got to have time for all this stuff. Anyways, yeah, so yeah, you could just run it right there, and the results are pretty good from what I've seen online. They come pretty close to what you're getting here. This guy's still working at it and still giving us results here. Okay, I'm looking at all these things and still doing the studies. I can already tell you that, yes, caffeine and L-theanine both have an effect on attention, specifically together. So the answer is yes to this question. We already know this from consensus. Let's pop back in there and just look at that. So we can see on the consensus meter here, 73% of the papers are saying yes, 20% possibly, and then just mixed sort of results here, about 11 tier 1 studies, which is interesting because when looked through these studies in consensus, which by the way, I installed PaperPile recently, just got to say something about different reference managers because, sorry, like I'm in overdrive right now. It's just like, anyone, stop this guy, he's had too much caffeine. Or maybe caffeine and L-theanine. Maybe that's what's happening right here. Maybe I had both of them, just kidding. But so one of the things that you have in here is you've got PaperPile. If you install that in your browser, you get these nice little buttons and everything, and you just click on that button and add a paper just like that in a lot of websites. Whereas Zotero and whatnot, you have these little tiny buttons in your browser. I just love that PaperPile just like gets into the website and fuses that code. Good job, PaperPile. And they're actually not super expensive, which is kind of nice.
Which I have to test that still. So maybe I can add a couple of comments about litmaps. I definitely I will join. I think online is possible, or is it possible to join online? Yes.
Join litmaps?
Yes, that litmaps conference.
Yes. So, you can if you click on this link. Maybe I should.
I already sent this.
I'm just going to post it. Let me just see it here.
Yeah, just post it on
conference.
So
let's
Johanna
see if that actually goes all the way.
Hello.
Yes, hi Johanna. Yeah, so Litmaps conference. This is posting on YouTube. On the other ones, it's not posting on X and LinkedIn. Oh well. Sorry, our tool does not cross-post. Maybe I'll just put it in a QR code. Just give me a hot second. Why don't you do some talking while I add this?
Put second QR code there. I think it is.
Yes. So this is Litmaps conference.
And I think similar tool could be the connected papers, which we tested, both of us tested, I think last year. And that is very similar tool to the Litmaps. So if you are looking for alternative, the connected papers could be a nice alternative. But recently I tested Chemilane, which is a dedicated AI tool about the for the, let's say, for the researchers and students who are studying chemics or they are
chemistry,
just doing
right?
Research chemistry, and so my German now killing my English, and this tool exactly has the same features. has the very similar feature what Litmatch does and what the connected papers does, but it
Yeah,
is integrated into into this tool, which I tested 2 weeks ago. So it is the video of this tutorial is also available on my YouTube channel. So anyone is interested, but this dedicated tools, it gives you only the articles in a certain domain, which is chemistry.
that's right. So by the way, this has just stopped. I'm just gonna pull the ticker out here. But yeah, if you want to go to that conference, just scan that QR code. It's free, 100% free, and you can see me talk for another hour. Who doesn't want that? Just kidding. Okay, but so
I would
listen
want
here. The deep research is actually done now, and now hold on to your horses as we go through this. So
and it's
literally, like I should probably copy
and
and
you have done
paste.
this. We have to mention that you have done this with O1 Pro, which is only available
Yeah, yeah.
with
It's
one
$200.
200,
Yeah, it's
yes,
crazy,
$200
crazy
plan,
expensive.
which
Yeah,
I haven't, with I don't have access. I have a Pro plan. I paid 20, but I
yeah,
haven't paid yet $200. I think we
yeah,
have to also mention, after covering
yeah.
what
Is it?
ChatGPT has done. After
Oh,
covering,
this is
let's talk a bit about, are these prices fair prices? Again, many students, for example, my colleagues, I talked to you, that they
yeah.
don't even want to pay for the $20. How they can even pay $200? We will come to
It's
this topic after
yeah.
covering all this.
Yeah. And this is why I said, like check out these free implementations here. If you don't have the money, then you gotta just do the technical work of setting this up yourself. But the results are equivalent. So that's maybe you don't have access to the O1 Pro model, but let's face it, O3 is almost as good, like O3 Mini. Like, I'm sorry, O1 Pro. Right now we're in this weird spot where O1 Pro is just like a marketing gimmick. I think still, like it's not that good that it justifies the price tag, at least I would say, right? Because I could get pretty close results if I ran O3 Mini, or even if I ran any one of the free Gemini models on this. So this is something to keep in mind. If you're into that, you can play around with the APIs. Maybe this is a future video where we could just look at, okay, this is how you fuse them together. This is beyond the scope of today. Today, we just wanted to give you a little taser. Don't taser people. Tease people about these things. And just to kind of see what's possible. And so for me, what really like rocked it is that you actually have the full-on references that you then could click on, and it actually goes right into the paper. You can see I got papers installed here and gives you the paper access and whatnot. So this is really where it gets like it gets really amazing. Yeah, because you could copy and paste that. Sure, the introduction is a little too short. This still needs, but for a first draft of something that already has references and gets to that is kind of wow. It's pretty good. And so then effects on attention and cognitive focus, it actually summarizes that quite nicely, like you would in a related work section, and puts it in there, increases vigilance and sustained attention. So Leonard, did you really not take L-theanine and caffeine this morning? Definitely had caffeine. I had 2 espressos, which is probably why we're seeing the speed that's unfolding here. But yeah, where you get at least 75 milligram of caffeine, it's usually needed to measurably improve alertness and reaction time. So yeah, that's all checks out. Any biology majors in the audience, please pop in and leave a comment if you're feeling like okay, this makes sense. So definitely, or if you got any questions, send us your questions in the chat. Otherwise, we'd still like to hear from you. So yeah, we go through this, then we got the combined effects here, then we got effects in different populations, students, young adults, older adults and elderly, individuals with ADHD. So whoa, so really this is like a mini lit review. Recommended dosages for optimal cognitive benefits, and we go through the individual ones. 200 milligram per sitting, 400 milligrams considered safe for healthy adults. Theanine 100 to 400 milligrams, and then the combination is a 2-to-1 ratio of L-theanine to caffeine. So 100 milligram of caffeine with 200 milligram of L-theanine would be good. So you can take more L-theanine than you can take caffeine. Wow, you learned something in today's episode. That's amazing. Cool. Thank you very much. But yeah, so this is one of the things that you can take out of there. And then you can compare it with other cognitive enhancers, which is really kind of cool. Amphetamine and like stimulus drugs. And it really gets like into drug-based research, nootropic herbs and supplements. And wow. Yeah, this is really like if I were not a researcher, let's say I work for like a company and I just need to do like research for my news article, journal article or whatever, not journal, magazine article, right? Like I'd be pretty good going to this. I'd say like, yeah, this is totally worth for my next article. It's giving me like a deep, like I could do this in a Google search and probably take me an hour or two to get that Google search done. And I would need to have some background knowledge of this. This is kind of like hiring a mini researcher for your team. So as researchers ourselves, where we're like professors and whatnot, sure, we like to scoff a little bit at this and be like, it's not as good as we are, which is true. It's not, but it's pretty close. So like that is really what gets me a little bit scared and excited at the same time, that it's giving you that depth of information, and it kind of really changes how you do that. Now, as a researcher, it's still your job to verify each of those sources and click through them. You can see like some sources are better than others. Like definitely a PubMed article, and you should just see that from looking at the link, is better than Cleveland Clinic and what are the other ones? Healthline.com. So those are probably, just like weigh your sources. If you have sources to a random internet site, probably not as good as a published peer-reviewed journal. You know that as a researcher. And even if you're not a researcher, but you do some research in a company, this is also something that you should know a little bit about. Okay, so that's it. That's a little demo that I wanted to do, which is really kind of cool. And again, if you want to try it out, try this alternative for free from David Zhang about open deep research. Open, don't we like that? Open, not as an open AI, but as in like open source, which is just so much better, isn't it? Okay, so that being said, let's see if...
I think our friend Elman has commented. So hi, Elman.
Okay, hi, Elman.
Nice to
Let's
see
pop
you.
that in. Yeah, really like deep research. So Elman, yeah, I was going to chat to Elman about this as well with Yomo AI, because like these tools like Gen AI, Yomo AI, all of these co-writing tools are facing like a significant threat from these tools, right? So Elman, knowing that you could in theory pop in and get this deep research implementation for free, and you could access DeepSeek for free, you could, I'm thinking like the future of Yomo AI could be like hit the button to generate a first draft of the paper and then let yourself co-write with it. This could make it a killer tool. Free advice right here. If you want to improve your tool, I think this would be a great way forward. I would love to see that feature. I would definitely test the heck out of that and be really excited about it. And then Tracy said, will it generate an accurate reference list? So accurate, yes. Yeah, so it provides the links as we saw here for each of the links here that you could just click on, and then it will get you actually directly to the site. And as you see, there's a PDF available, and this is of course PubMed. So as long as you click on it and you check the links, you definitely find that it is accurate in terms of referencing. But it does mix stuff with like AltsDiscovery.org, which I don't think that's, no, that is definitely not a peer-reviewed journal. So yeah, again, weigh your links, click on the links, find out where they point, and be aware that it mixes the good and the bad. So not all of them are perfect links, and not all of them are, the kind of thorough quality that we could have. And yeah, Elman says, I like that idea. Make it happen, Elman. We would love to. I would love to get my hands on that. I'd be so excited. And, this is one of the advantages of, this deep research implementation being free. It's an MIT license, and the DeepSeek being free. Why don't we just put that in our tools? We'd be such a killer tool. Anyway, yeah.
And by the way, Leonard, let me plug in my new announcement.
Yeah.
On Friday, my new, very fresh video tutorial on Yomo AI is coming to my channel.
Exciting.
So if anyone wants to know what is Yomo AI, what you can do with it without, of course, considering the ethical the problems, and also keeping this academic integrity, how we can use the tools like Yomo AI, Gen AI. So stay tuned. On Friday, my new tutorial there, and I will try to show you how you can use Yomo AI professionally and ethically. But of course, not only Yomo AI. In this webinar, we covered 15 different tools and different prompting strategies with Leonard together. You can scan that code right on the screen, or I will put the link to our webinar in the description of this video. And if you are just listening to this podcast, you will find the link to the webinar also in the show notes.
Yeah, this was actually an accident. I just wanted to get both of us on full screen again. I have too many
Yeah.
buttons to click here. Somebody needs to
Yes.
have, I need like a producer
It
in
was
the show instead of me clicking around. But thanks anyways for the plug, Booger. That was nice. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing your new YouTube video on that Yomo AI tutorial.
yes.
If you want to know more about Yomo AI, it's part of our big AI research tools workshop. So definitely would love to see you there. One of the last things, I know lunch break's almost over, so people are going to be heading out soon. One of the last things I think is worth talking us about here would be, what does this all do to us? And I mentioned a recent Wisecrack video that I watched that talks about techno-feudalism and how we're moving from a capitalist society to a techno-feudalist society. And that's, I think, quite interesting when it comes to where are we heading in terms of even governance of research. Now, people have seen some changes in the United States recently. We both don't live in the United States, but living in Canada and looking at tariffs and things like that, it's kind of a weird space to be in right now. And so I think one of the interesting things to look at is how will our landscape change? And you said you've recently read the news that Elon is trying to acquire OpenAI, which he was part of earlier, but now he's got so much money, he can probably just buy it, just like he bought X or Twitter, what it used to be. And so that's an interesting thing to think about, like where's that going to lead us in terms of overload? So when I say overloads, I don't mean that as like a silly little description or whatnot, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about that in a cloud-based infrastructure, you kind of need access to tools to get your work done. For example, we write research papers in a tool called Overleaf. This is a browser-based tool that lets you write LaTeX code and then generates a PDF for you, and you can collaborate, which is awesome when it works. But when it's down, you don't get any work done. I mean, you could, if you're smart, you have sort of a local repository running. You can run it through GitHub, and it just syncs with it online, and that's perfectly fine. That's what you should do. But a lot of us don't do that. We just have it running in our browser. Ease of use, usability wins, right? But then we're also kind of dependent on that tool. So in this particular case, of course, that still requires a lot of knowledge. You got to know how to format in LaTeX and whatnot to make that work. But what I'm thinking is with these tools being cloud-based, as most of them are, because not a lot, I guess, DeepSeek you could run on your local machine. So some of them you could run the model locally. And I think this is one of the things where I can see Apple heading with the very much, this was one of our first podcast episodes where we were like still excited about Apple Intelligence. Now we're just like, it was kind of a little bit of a letdown.
Because it is not Apple Intelligence. In the end, it was ChatGPT. That's
and then it's like, but this is actually a thing I think where they could catch up, or where hardware manufacturers could catch up when they run the models locally on the hardware, because it gives you a little bit of independence, and you can actually run things without being dependent on the AI cloud, let's call it, that's out there. Because if you are, then essentially you are forking over a lot of independent power to the people that own these platforms. And I think that's what probably a lot of the people that are in power currently are after, which is owning that capability of letting people do their work. So this is a risk that I see with a lot of these platforms being in the cloud and being so far away from everything that, and then of course, getting our data as well, right? So there's this other thing, data being the new oil, right? And so like we're giving our oil for free here. Okay, anyways, so that's one of the things. And the other thing is, of course, and this is as a professor, I have to think about that. And I think you have noticed that as well, Vugar, and we chatted a little bit about that in our AI Research Tools webinar, is the de-skilling aspect, right? Like my job is to train the next generation of smart thinkers to have the skills that it takes to get the stuff done. But what if those smart thinkers now just completely rely on AI? And again, I've seen that trend with some of our undergraduate students. Again, I've taught actually a class on generative AI, so mixed results. Some people love it, some people hate it. But there's definitely a camp that uses it for everything. Even in a class where I allow you to use it, and I'm actually teaching you to use it, they're still phoning it in by just using it. I guess they probably never attended the lectures. This stuff happens, right? So this is an interesting place to be at, where now we're looking at a society that maybe has a tendency, unless somebody rings the alarm bells and comes in and does something about it, that has a tendency then to let the work get done for them. And yes, they become prompt engineers and they get really good at doing that stuff. But what does it do to their actual skills, their actual knowledge. Like, will they be capable to write a top essay? I even sometimes ask that myself, because I love writing and I write a lot, but I also write a lot with AI because I just love what it does to my writing. And I love how I can start with deep research and then move it back and forth. And like everything just becomes so much better and denser, and just like way less time than it would have taken me before. And so, like, if that's not there, then the quality instantly drops 30%, I would say. That's a little sad. Like, I shouldn't admit that
Yes.
publicly, but it is. Like, it is, I'd say it's making me 30% better, being able to access these things right away. And at least 30% faster. I could probably take more time, get to the same quality, but it definitely gets me better results in shorter amount of time. And this is something I think we got to acknowledge somehow, that that's really the kind of space that we're in, the space that we're headed, where what do we do when we're dependent on these tools? And then essentially the people that own these tools own that bit of productivity. They own that aspect of our work. That's tricky, right? Like,
Exactly.
that's this idea of techno-feudalism, where, feudalism back in the day when there were castles and lords, and you kind of had to like just do the labor and like pay your stuff to the lord and whatnot and get in there. And like, is that where we're headed? Is that like one of the risks that we're taking here? What are your thoughts, Ugram?
Yeah, this is definitely interesting time to live in. I am kind of happy, but at the same time with many concerns, which I think any sane person should have, especially in you are in academia. So you are a professor, you have more experience definitely than me. So I am doing my PhD, almost finalizing it. And so I did the let's say the 70-60% of my dissertation in an old fashioned way, because ChatGPT wasn't there. So I
True.
started researching the old style, like the Google search, Scholar and other stuff. But we have now like a very powerful elixir. We cannot avoid it. We have to learn how to integrate it into our lives, but without destroying our lives. But I think, so we live in a capitalistic system. Everything is for the profit maximization, which is the best system we managed to build until today. And as you mentioned, the danger is that who holds these power in their hands, the
Yeah.
will hold the power of all humanity, because the power will include Leonard there, the power will include Vugard there, the power will include everyone there. Huh? No, don't. So you have your own methodology, you have the Leonard style of reading, writing, everything, but
Yeah.
you are feeding your all merits and skills to this tool. So it
Yeah.
is kind of having everything you have. So let's say whoever uses these tools, so they are training, of course. ChatGPT now trying to say that you can turn off training with your own data our models.
Yeah.
I am not still sure if it is happening,
Mm.
because, for example, I would never put any part of my dissertation into the ChatGPT, because I don't trust fully. I don't trust. So DeepSeek for me is out of question. Anything for me comes from China is out of discussion, because I don't trust. But I
Oh.
don't trust other side, this side of the AI companies as well. So I don't
Mm.
trust OpenAI. I don't. It is not open anymore, and it is 100% for profit
Mm.
corporation, the
Yeah.
organization now. So if it is for profit, you cannot, you can expect anything. It is dangerous, but I think it is unavoidable now. We are on this, and there is only one way towards, and so that's how we go. But I am not. But I have even worse concern is that is the payment plans of these tools. Like,
Money, money,
uh,
money. Yep.
yes, for example, as a student, I cannot afford to pay $200 for the pro version. Now it is again another layer. So there were there are nations, there are countries there are people, millions, maybe billions, who do not have even access to electricity. Millions
Mm.
definitely don't have access to even electricity,
Yeah.
and another millions, maybe billion, do not have. So I don't have these numbers with me, but 100% sure that millions do not have access to the internet, and they will not have access to the AI. And who will have access to AI? They will be, let's say, one layer above, but who will be able to pay more? They will be so it is day by day. I think AI, like any other invention of the humanity, will add another layer to the discrepancy between the nations and between the people, so
Yeah.
among the people. So that is, I think, one of the, so like, in the end, will the richer nations will be more rich, and again the poorer nations, the poorer countries will stay poor, or even will become more poorer because they don't use this power. So that
Yeah.
is, I think, a legit concern for me. So I live in Germany. For example, I don't have access to the to the deep research.
Yeah.
Here you have different
Like different
regulations,
regulations, which is,
but if you pay, so many of my colleagues do not pay for ChatGPT, even
Mhm.
the 20% tier, a $20 tier, they don't do that because
Mm.
for student, even 20 United States dollar or 20 euro is
Yeah.
a considerable money. You cannot just easily say that, yes, this month for me it is nothing, but for
Mm.
me personally 200 is something, so I can pay that. But I would do that only if I really get enough back from this. So
Yeah.
20%, $20 tier is doing really great for me. So for my content creation, for my
Yeah.
YouTube channel, for my other channels. But so my concern is that, so do you also have this concern, like your students or maybe students? So if the Canada is okay, Canada, I think for students there, it shouldn't be a very huge deal. It's like a couple of coffees per month paying ChatGPT $20.
Yeah.
But there are many countries, I think that is considerable amount to pay monthly, and that will add, I believe, that another layer to these huge differences. So
Yeah. So I think we've got to wrap up soon, but just one quick thought about this is essentially, yes, I do think there is a limit in terms of what you can afford and what you can do there. And yeah, kind of like what Emman says here, parity pricing to optimize customers' geographic location is very successful. I mean, that's something that we know as creatorpreneurs. Are we creatorpreneurs? We are creatorpreneurs, entrepreneurs that do creative stuff. Anyways, so one of the things that we've also noticed, as well as Elman and others, is yeah, parity pricing is really powerful. So different regions of the world can afford different things. So you kind of want to level that out, even though that might affect your bottom line in a bit, but it makes everything more accessible around the world, which is great. But I think one of the things that we see is just like with more competition, an interesting thing happens is like you really got to think about, okay, so what am I actually paying for? This is what I'm asking myself with O1 Pro and these things. Like I actually still big heart for Anthropic, and Claude 3.5 is still my favorite model out of all of them. So it writes the best. It's definitely the only thing that I use when I write social media. Is just like I have like all these projects and things set up with Claude that support me in getting that stuff done. And so yeah, really still the best, even with like so much innovation happened since Claude 3.5 Sonnet. But it's just, and even coding, like some of the web coding stuff I do with it, it's just chef's kiss, right? It's still so great, even compared to these complex thinking models. Then again, I don't have to think through protein structures or other things for the way that I use it. So I think, yeah, you always got to look at your use case for how using the AI. Is it worth paying for? What would you actually pay for? And then make that decision. But that is also, the question then is, how many tools do you even need? Like, do you need all these extra tools? Can you do a lot of the stuff just with prompting and whatnot? It's definitely something that should go into your decision process as you're evaluating all these different tools and you're looking at that. But that being said, this brings us to our final call for action, because at the end of a good episode and a good YouTube video, you should always have a call to action. So if you like this stuff, definitely check out our How to Use AI Research Tools webinar recording that you can access there. And I don't know if the price is accurate, so maybe we'll just put this in there. No, that's still wrong. Too many clicks, Leonard. What is going on? Here's the right one. I'm going to put that in there. This is the QR code that gets you to the right webinar access. Okay, well, thanks, Vugar, for hanging out. This was a fun lunch hour, but now everyone gets back to work, including ourselves. And thanks so much. And we'll see you at the
Thank,
next episode of the AI Academics.
thank you for hosting me as a usual, the permanent guest. So see you next
We're,
time.
we're both each other's permanent guests. I like that about this podcast. That like, we'll decide that we're guesting on each other.